What's going on, you guys? Slumpy here from the Foundation, here with Foundation player Darren Dyal. Darren went to a Vancouver Battle Royale Resurrection tournament in Vancouver, Canada, where he is from, and went undefeated. Well, he went X1 and then won out top cut. Ended up getting first place at this $1,000 tournament. So Darren, what did you play, and how does it feel?
Good. Well, feels good. I was sick the event. Woke up not feeling the best. Got lost at the venue, but other than that, it was good. Haven't really played much since the YCS that I taught, which is probably why people haven't been seeing a lot of me. But decided to play this local tourney. It was like it was a cash tourney for $1,000. Um, yeah, it was good otherwise. I had no idea what I wanted to play, but I kind of stuck to the bread and butter and chose Dragon Link.
Nice. So, what made you choose Dragon Link for this event?
The deck that I'm most comfortable with. Um, so like I was going back and forth a lot on I was trying the 60 list out with the adventurer package and DPE. But then like I found that when I was playing those, I was just too scared of bricking a lot of times. And I wanted to play like the most consistent variant that I could, but then I was also substituting power a little bit. So it was kind of like back and forth on it, but then I just thought, well, Dragon Link can play mid range. But then I was also kind of playing it more as like a combo. Like when I would, there weren't as many hand traps. So Despia just came out, so that was the other choice. But I was not familiar with the cards at all. I had zero clue how to play the cards. But then 2 nights before, I was looking into the Fallen of Albaz because Danny, you told me about it,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it was something that you had brought up. Like this was months ago, I think. But anyways, you told me about that way before, and it's like a really good engine because now you can go into like the Mirror Jade plays and like it's extra disruption, but I just wasn't comfortable with it enough, and I just didn't have enough practice with it. So I just decided to stick with kind of like a pure list.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and get to the deck profile. But before we do that, do you have any shout outs you want to give out first?
Yeah. So shout outs to the foundation, obviously. Tristan, Landon, Danny, of course. The three of them are like my core testing partners. Shout outs to everyone who I met at the Vancouver VBR, including Robbie, who I met in the finals, who I versed in Swiss, who beat me with Despia. So that was interesting. Shout outs to the rest of the guys who I test with. Enzo, one of my favorite guys. Um, and yeah, and shout out to everyone. Oh, from Vancouver as well. So the people who lent me cards, I totally forgot about this. Daniel Zhang, Tyler Langus, Nigel Long. Oh my gosh, I know I'm forgetting people. Johnson Lai. Yeah, you guys know the whole legacy chat. You guys.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and get to the deck profile.
All right, cool. So I'm just move this down. All right. So this is a nice, pretty mat that I won from here. So it's 44 cards because 44 cards is always my number. I know Danny's is 45, but gotta love the 44. Um, it's funny. I did run the math for it the night before, so used the calculator to calculate all my percentages, and I wanted to make sure that I had, above a 50% number when it comes to drawing two hand traps. Um, yeah, we'll kind of get into it and I'll explain it. So like there's Levy, obviously I love this card. This card's amazing. I didn't play the Chaos Amp this time. I tried fitting it in, but it just wasn't needed because I wasn't going like full on gas or anything like that. So this card was amazing. Red MD, very good. The other thing about Levy is I love getting hand trap early on in my combo because then Levy just means that I rip another one out. So that means when I'm calculating, like, in terms of card advantage and disruptions that I need to have, it just means that I need to play around four cards in my opponent's hands, which most of the times I can do just based off of my end board. So Levy was really good. Red MD was good, and I played the one black metal with it. This is like a starter, and I did want to play this. I wanted to play this in case of Nib, but Nib wasn't really that popular this weekend. But this came up even like in the semifinals. I drew this black metal and it was good. You play the one black, one white. Uh, Shout outs to Tom Box for telling me my deck list did not have White Dragon on it because I was about to play the event with that White Dragon. So shout outs to MST TV. Um, Three safer. So this is also the other reason I didn't want to play the adventure engine is because this card is so good, and then that just mitigates one of the primary good cards that Dragon Link has, right? So if you minus this card from it and you play the adventure package, it's fine, but like, why would you want to cut one of your best cards, right? I think even when I was playing the adventure engine, I was still playing two of this card in case I didn't see the adventure engine, and then you're just playing Dragon Link from there, right? So I just can't see why you wouldn't want to play this card when it's one of the heart and soul cards of the Dragon Link deck. So that's really good. And then this is also the other reason to Nocto. This card in the Adventure engine is really bad because you don't see dragons sometimes, and then this card essentially turns into a brick, right? So with this deck though, is like you have a lower number of cards, and then this card is almost always alive. And it's to the point where like I was debating playing three, but then Landon told me play two in a 44 card list. So I decided to play two. Also, shout outs to my good friend Albert from the OCG, who Friday from 12 a.m., or I guess that would have been Saturday, 12 a.m. to 5 a.m., helped me finalize the list and read Despia cards too.
Mm.
So then I decided two Abso standard, two Rocket Synchron standard. What's not standard is two Tracer. So my theory behind two Tracer is even though this card is a starter and it is something that you do want to open up with, when you have the ability to inherently search this card through Abso I just don't feel the need to play three of it due to the chances of clogging it. Like you don't, yes, for sure you want to see one of this card, but you don't want to see multiple. And like you can always see this card when you go through your combo anyways because of Ravine dumping abs, and then you can always get to it. And then you have three quick launch on top of that as well. So I feel like the you don't need to play three of this card to see it. I understand the theory behind why you would do it. I've just never liked it back for the first remote duel YCS. Even then, I didn't like it. I still don't like it now at three. I'm more of a 2 fan for that. Your one recharger, this card's insane. And then, so something different that I decided to do was I decided to go with the chamber. So this card was, I'll just pull up this card now. So these cards are kind of like debatable. So the two tiding and one
Oh wow.
chamber. So because this was debatable, um, okay. So Friday before 12, so before I spoke with Albert, these were actually this was Brotar, one for one, and Call by the Grave. So that's what these three cards were. But because it was a local scene and I thought there would be more Eldritch and like back row decks, I decided to put these cards in because I thought this would be better against like the slower type of decks, instead of going like full combo on people. And then this card actually came up a lot. So I like Tiding because it's an extender if you even just open it up, because then you just go Ravine, Pitch Tiding, Dump, Chamber, and then it turns into a free dragon monster, right? Um, so like I like this actually a lot, and it did come up. The only problem with this is I got Zombie World a lot at the event actually.
Oh
Like
no.
yeah, so like this card is obviously dead because it says target one dragon monster you control, and Zombie World makes it into a zombie. So like this engine I cut, but at the same time, like when I was going first and anytime I saw this, I just felt so comfortable. Like in the finals, I ended up drawing this halfway through my combo. So what I ended up doing was like I didn't use Striker Dragon's effect yet, but I went like quad whirl, pitched the chamber in my hand, summon back the recharger and tracer, made them into savage, and then I went striker dragon, pop this out, special summon this to add the tiding. So it just kind of locks it up and makes it so it's another disruption. And even if you don't open this, and if you just open the tiding, it's really good going first. These are always side outs, game two or three when you're going second, but going first, this card's insane. So I'm happy I played it. Um, like I said, it could be um, call by 1-for-1 Brotar, but I think I would probably stick to this, I think, moving forward as well. So that's it for like the monsters, and then you have like your hand traps, which is like what this deck is known for, which is why I wanted to play this deck. Because I actually thought more people would have like normally when I haven't played locals in a while, but I know like a lot of people and my friends have been saying everyone has like the adventurer cards. So I was expecting like to see a lot of adventurer cards, Despia cards because it's a structure deck and it came out 2 weeks ago. So like I was expecting to see like a lot of that, but I didn't do a whole lot of testing against Despia outside of Tristan. But I didn't know enough, so I just kind of did what people were telling me was good. So I did 2DD Crow, so in the main deck. Um, this was good for a lot of different reasons. So I was thinking like Eldritch, if that was quite popular. I was thinking, of course, the branded in red because it'll stop that. And it's a dark this one, so I could always add this off of Chaos Ruler for another disruption. So like usually I'll do that off of my Chaos Ruler. When I mill off my Chaos Ruler, I'll look at my hand to make sure that I have enough disruptions according to how many cards my opponent has in their hand. So like if I need to add one to just match the number count of like let's say they use a hand trap, they're down to 5 cards, right? I just want to make sure that I always have enough disruptions and just always counting the numbers in my own head. So this card was good at times. I would say it was okay. Two Valor. So the other reason why I did like the 2-and-2 ratio is because, like in my opinion, these are cards that you don't always want to see against certain matchups, right? Like DD Crow, you don't want to see like against certain matchups. Like Tri Brigade was there. Uh, there were like some other matchups too as well, but I just didn't really like seeing this card too much. Same with Valor. So Valor is one that you can see multiples of, but I just don't find it as good, especially against prank kids. That's the other reason why I played DD Crow. You could play Bell over this, but again, this being dark makes it better for Chaos Base and adding it off of the Chaos Ruler. It's the same theory with Valor. Valor is not good against prank kids, so that's why I didn't want to play like max out on this. I thought having the 2 of count of this was enough. And then same theory again, you guys are going to see two Ghost Ogre, same exact theory. It just isn't that good against certain matchups. In my opinion, Prank Kid Adventure was the best deck going into it. And I know what people say that this stops like the Adventure package, but that's one package, right? Then you have to consider like the other side of it. And then when you're looking at it, there were just too many cards. Like people max out on Ogre and Valor, but I don't understand that because yes, it'll hit the adventure package. If you're thinking what the best deck is or what the most represented deck will be, it just doesn't make sense to play these when you're thinking the most represented deck doesn't really fall for these, right? They play through these. So, which in my opinion was going to be Prank Kid Adventure and Despia as well, because I think these cards just are terrible against Despia. So that's why I only played two of those. This also being a light as well. I don't like this card to be honest with you, but it came up I guess in the Dragon Link matchup. But I don't know. Still, I would probably cut it. I feel 3 Ash most versatile. Stops branded fusion. Stops whatever. It's just like the most versatile, so you play it. And then regardless of what people say, I stuck with 3 Nibs, even though this card is really bad against Despia um, just because like they summon 4 times and they stop at that. This card just wasn't that great. It was good in certain matchups when I versed it. Like it was good against a virtual world deck that I played against, and then the Dragon Link mirror match as well. But other than that, it just I don't know. It was okay. Again, it being a light, I thought that's why it was going to be really good too. So you could add it. It did its job, I think, when it needed it to be. So it wasn't bad. And then 3 Gamma. This card's amazing. Uh, in the finals, I stopped in the Luber, and I think that's what won me the match, maybe, or not the match, but that game specifically, and the one driver. Didn't resolve this on my turn, I don't think, ever throughout the tourney, but it was still there for that too. And then, so that's it for the monster count. And then you have 3 Chaos Base broken, 3 Quick Launch. This card isn't once per turn. And I kept drawing this card, especially in top 4. I just kept ripping this card off, and it just kept it letting me extend my combo. Like, it was insane. Off of Nocto, I would draw. Off of Chaos Space, I would draw. And it just kept getting me quick launches, which was insane. Boot, and then Ravine. And that's it for the main deck, which is, like I said, 44. Uh, and then we'll go into, let's see, the extra deck. Uh, okay, so for the extra deck, we have like the one Striker Dragon, which is normal. It's the best one. One Pisty. So the Pisty, the cool thing about Pisty is if you actually open up Quick Launch Chaos Space, there's a way to do it so like um you could actually retain the quick launch in your hand. And what you would set up was, and I'm just gonna jump to this, is like the triple burst Pisty combo, which I did a lot during the tournament because and then that way it's without using your boot sector as well. So this is why I really like this combo and like having the ability to do this. So Pissy actually did come up quite a bit, more than I actually expected it to, but that was because of the triple birth for sure. Um, I decided to do two Heradic Seal. I can't actually think of a time where two ever came up. I don't think there ever was a time that two came out. So one of this is probably debatable to cut. So I think I would probably cut one of these for an Appaloosa, but I just wanted to have two in because I thought it was going to be more of a local scene with like back row decks. So I want to grind more. But yeah, so two never actually really came up, but still kind of glad that I had it, I guess. One Romulus. This card's insane. Dark is so insane because this card allows for game in so many different ways. And then like a lot of times what I did was is just left this card up, or I'd crash this card just so I could have the levy to rip a card and extend my board. So or like special summon from the graveyard if I had three light. So Dark was insane. Made this a lot. IP was to add to the end board for disruption. Quad Boral was really good. It actually came up quite a bit. Triple Burst, like I said, it came up. Unicorn, Access Code, and then for the synchros, Hot Red, Chaos Ruler, insane. My mills off of Chaos Ruler was so insane. Like I was hitting the most absurd things off this card, which is again the reason why I wanted to play 44 instead of playing that 60 adventurer package because it just makes your even though you have the water enchantress, it just makes your mills more because like if you're thinking about it, yes, you have the water enchantress, which is three, but then think about all the other cards. DPE package, which is two cards, then you have the two fusion destiny, then you have the three um rights, then you have the Draco back, then you have like there's too many cards that when you try to mill it off, it just isn't as good. And like to justify it to say that you're hitting a three of and when in comparison when you're playing that engine, you have like a lot more. I don't think that's justifiable. I think that's why a lot of people are staying away from that kind of package right now when it comes to Dragon Link. And then Savage was amazing. My last part, so this was actually a Sanaphog because I couldn't find the zombie vampire. I picked this up on Sunday, the day after this event. But if I had the zombie vampire, I would have played the zombie vampire just because this card is so insane. Like you mill an ogre, you put it, and then like it's another disruption. Or if you didn't use a Nocto and then you hit a Nocto, because like when you're done your combo, this is like the last card or the second last card that you make from your extra deck. So like you're probably what 10 to 13 cards in from your main deck because you just milled five, you searched like a few times. So you're like down. So you can almost like count your cards at that point and then kind of like predict what you'll hit. Considering what's already in your graveyard. This card could also hit like chamber if it's still in your deck, or like that's what I'm like with this deck, there's like a lot of math to it sometimes because you just gotta think about what you could hit. I know some people are like reluctant in wanting to do this, but if I feel like I have really good mills still left in my deck that I haven't hit, I'm gonna make this for sure, just because it extends my own plays. So it's like thinking about the mathematics behind it.
So for the tourney, did you play Saphion or did you play
I
the
did. I played Sanafon. Yeah, Sanafon I played because so I thought it came up once, I think, in round one, and then I never made it for that. But I did play Sanafon for the event. It was okay. It never really came up. If you have zombie vampire, you use zombie vampire. Xenophon is not the way to go.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the extra, and then the side deck. The side deck was the side deck will just reflect on how this format is, which is just so diverse and so toxic. I think it's just so bad because the side deck doesn't make any sense, except it made sense when I was making this deck. So you got the two Lancia. This card was actually insane. I played Virtual World in top four, milled this card off of
Chaos
Meldus off
ruler.
Chaos Ruler, yeah, and then I just added it to my hand, and it was insane because he was playing the Adventurer package, so like he was completely shut down and dead. So this card was really good. Shout outs to again Tombox for telling me this card was good against Despia, even though I still don't get it, but we'll find out eventually. This card was insane. So two token collector. Uh, and it wasn't really insane for the reasons that I think. Okay, so the week going into this, I kept watching like all the profiles. Shout outs to Will Can DX. I was watching his actually, and it was just so funny, and Elise as well. Well, it was Elise's deck, not Will's. But anyways, so I was watching that, and then it was just funny because like everyone again it was a different time because Despia wasn't out at the time, so that's why I decided to play two of this card because I thought like, well, you can mill it, same theory behind Lancia, you can mill it, add it to your hand, same theory with Token Collector as well, but that's mostly going first. When you're going second, you want to diversify your hand traps, so you open different hand traps, you don't want to see the same hand traps in your hand. So that's why I did like a 2 ratio, which you guys are going to notice that's for all my hand traps in my side deck. Two Ghost Bell, branded in red is stops, but I realize if they use what is that card? The one that's a
Branded
meltdown.
lost.
Yeah, branded lost, and this card just dead. This card actually wasn't very good, but again, for prank kids, I put this in too because I think I wanted six things for prank kids, so that's why I decided to put that. And then two Droll and Lockbird. This card was insane against the Dragon Link mirror match when I played it. And I think that's it. I can't remember another time this card actually came up. So yeah, so that card was good. Two droplet, never saw it. So you guys see here, like it's like two of everything. Like you have two of every going second card that's good, right? That's supposed to be good
Hmm.
because that's how diverse this format is, and that's how I just didn't know what I was going to play against. Because like you can play against anything, and if you maximize on like if you maximize it, like droplet, I think is the only thing that you can really maximize. Because if you maximize on the rest of these, it just doesn't make sense. Because if you play like against like something weird, like for example, like if you play against a PK deck and you don't have this card, but then you maximize three token collector, it doesn't do anything, and draw, it doesn't do anything. So you only have drop within, right? So like I just wanted to make sure that I had everything for every matchup, so I never felt like I was behind or that I just had something. So that's what I want to make sure of. And that's like the beauty part of Dragon Link is like you can have multiple hand traps and you can play a lot of hand traps and cards, but with Despia being so prevalent in the format, maybe this isn't the best call. So I don't know. Um, that's a discussion for another day. And then because it's a locals three twin twister, I think even if it wasn't a locals, you would still play that. And the Harpies and the Red reboot. D-Barrier was running around a lot, so I'm glad I had this. But it's not that I even put this in against combo, to be honest with you. Like this was just all for back row decks. I actually can't think of a time where I ever sided these. These came in, I think, once or twice, but then it also came in the finals because I was just scared of Zombie World. So yeah.
Right. Any changes you would make going forward, especially maybe with like the new stuff coming out or any little
Yeah,
like insight you have on the deck?
yeah. I think Dragon Link, the beauty with Dragon Link is that it's always adaptable and it's always, you can always adapt it to the format, which is what I always like. I don't know how this deck is gonna be when, obviously Despia, because this deck has a really bad Despia matchup. I'll already say that right now. Like, it has a very, very difficult time dealing with that deck. Um, just because they have like an inherently good matchup, and the Despia deck doesn't really care about hand traps, right? Like I feel like they play around most hand traps anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So I just don't think that deck really is a good matchup. I think against the adventure package, against prank kids, against things like that, I think that's where this deck shines because you can play so many diverse hand traps where you need to play them. When Borland comes out, I don't think it does a huge thing because like Super Poly's still a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just gonna have to hope on the ban list to see if it can kind of help this deck out a little bit. Um, Besides that, this deck is always gonna be alive. Like, so the reason why you play this deck is because it's a fun deck, and it's like I find this deck really fun. Unlike Prank Kids, it's not like you don't just go normal summon kid, do your standard combo pass turn. With this deck, it's like, what am I milling off of Chaos Ruler? What am I milling off of Zombie Vampire? What am I, opening up with? How am I playing around hand traps? How am I like it's a lot thinking on the fly. And I think that's why it reminds me similar to like Emancipator in a way, because like you would play with how your hand was, right? There was no direct line of play. There was a sequencing that was always correct. And that's why with these combo decks, sequencing is so important, right? Like how to play around different hand traps, or play through different hand traps. So that's why I like decks like these. I love sequencing. I love like thinking like mathematics and things like that. So I think that adds like another level. And I think that's like where you can tell like the pilot of the deck versus just the deck itself. So yeah, but I think in general this deck just does not have a very good Despia matchup. Unless someone thinks I'm wrong, then please comment and share with me how this deck beats Despia. Um, Other than that, yeah, I think we'll just have to kind of wait for this list to see what happens.
All right. Any future events you're gonna be going to?
I'll be at YCS Niagara for sure, which is gonna looking forward to that because it's in Canada, meaning that I don't have to spend USD. Um, what else will I be going to? Probably some other ones too, I think. I can't wait for like the regional scene to open up again so I can go down to the States to go meet up with a bunch of friends. And yeah, see like more YCSs and try to go to some YCS events. Tickets are cheap right now, so we'll try that.
All right. Well, congrats, Darren, and thank you guys for watching. If you haven't already, please like, comment, and subscribe. Other than that, this is something out. Thank you guys.